to the OHIO podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Buckeye Boyz, a.k.a. the Podfather. And you are you, and we're thankful you decided to join us tonight here at the OHIO podcast, Sunday night roundtable discussion show. Do us a big favor, everybody, before you do anything else, and smash that like button. It absolutely helps the show out, helps us grow, and it's absolutely free, and literally, it's not that hard. You just hit like, you hit the little thumbs up, beep, that's all you got to do. The other thing you can do tonight is share the show, and if you're not already, consider subscribing to the channel. That's also free, costs you nothing. If for any reason you need to get a hold of us, please email the show at theohiopodcast@gmail.com. And while you're doing that, go check out the website, theohiopodcast.com. There you can read articles about all the sports at Ohio State, including football. We've got links to all of our social media accounts. We've got all kinds of cool things over there. A merch store, Chris's online stores over there. And we also have updated there the depth chart. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the website, you'll see there's some links there. One is for the depth chart, and we definitely encourage you to go check that out. Joining us tonight on the home team, that's JR in the know, silky smooth JR, not in the nude. That would be bad. That would be you would have to be covered up with the silk touch robe. Cory Thompson, that's Dr. Cory down there in the bottom left-hand corner. And the special guest tonight, he's the host of the Buckeye Boyz. That's our boy Dev. What's up tonight, Dev?
Oh, not much. Chilling, man. Trying to enjoy this off season.
Usually I invite the guest to explain who they are and let everybody know what they do. But Dev, I'm pretty sure most of the chat knows who you are tonight. We've got Ryan Day's championship beard has gifted one podcast membership. And would you look who it went to? Mr. Caden the Man 614, who I was on his show the other day. So that is how. Oh, sorry guys, I didn't change my screen. Thank you, Richard. Richard's like, I only see you, Eric. What's the deal? My bad. It's been. I got my mind on vacation and going to Florida here today.
Keep talking about how nobody wants to see our faces, and then you're only showing your face. I see how it is, Eric.
I thought you had some type of new software or something. I'm like, I guess I'm up there somewhere. I don't think I am. But
you're hidden.
I was doing peace signs. They didn't get to see all my signs.
They didn't see any of the gang signs you were flashing there. Oh, guys, this is going to be a lot of fun, man. We appreciate Devin jumping on tonight. We've got some awesome topics to talk about, and awesome guest and the home team and all of you in the chat. We invite you to participate tonight with everything that we're going to be talking about. So let's just jump right in tonight, guys. Last week, we ended last Sunday night show by going over the defensive depth chart. This week, we're going to go over the offensive depth chart, but I want to make it a little bit more interactive. And instead of me giving you my idea for what the depth chart is, I want to kind of hear from you guys, position by position, on what you think the depth chart is. We'll start at quarterback first, and we'll let Dev, our guest, go first tonight. Dev, give me your starter and your second and third string going in the spring at the quarterback position.
Well, I'll go with the most obvious take is Julian Sayin starting with Lincoln Kienholz backing it up, Tavian Sinclair behind him. We'll see what Ryan Day does in the portal. I don't think he's going after a starter or anything, but I said on my show recently that I might give Lincoln a little bit more credit than what most are. I know the coaches are obsessed with Julian Sayin, heck of a prospect coming out of high school and all that stuff. But I'm just, Lincoln Kienholz believes he can win the starting job, and that's what you want. I totally get that. But I'm just not sleeping on him as I don't think it's such a guarantee as everybody thinks. And I know that's completely against the grain of most everybody that I talk to. But Julian Sayin, I think, will win out with Kienholz closer to him than most think.
JR and Cory, you guys agree with that?
No. I think Lincoln will start. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I agree. I
was like, really? Oh, man. you got to give the kid credit for. Um,
He's
you
going to
got to
leave
give.
after spring, I bet.
Well, and I was about ready to just go down that path. Andre says, "Do you think that our Buckeyes will visit the portal like they were doing 1 year ago?" I think they almost have to at the quarterback position. I have another position that I think on the offensive side, I think they go portaling, but I do believe that they're going to have to bring in at least one more guy, if not two, at the quarterback position, if indeed Lincoln decides he's going to jump in the portal as well. JR, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason other than maybe wanting if Chip Kelly were still there, maybe you would have Lincoln Kienholz because he's more mobile and stuff like that. But with Brian Hartline coming in, it just makes complete sense that Julian Sayin is going to be the guy. I don't mean to disparage Lincoln Kienholz at all. I think Lincoln Kienholz is going to be a very good someplace else. But with the way things are set up for this year, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. Um, any idea on where you think Lincoln would go if he decided to go portaling?
Well, there was all that smoke about Iowa last year.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to one of the North Dakota, South Dakota schools for a year, has a good year there, and then maybe tries to come back up to FBS or Power 4 or something like that. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he, goes to one of the Mountain West schools someplace, Boise State, something like that, and tries to make a name for himself there. Are they technically Pac-12 yet, some of them? Or at least next year they're going to be. So there might be a little bit more cachet there with that. But, yeah.
He could go back to the Dakotas and just be a superstar if he wanted to be.
He could. I don't know. Like, to go from Ohio State to, like, South Dakota State or, like, North Dakota, like, those are really good FCS programs. But it would be, like, for a guy like Logan George to go from Idaho State to Ohio State, that's absolutely huge. That's every kid's dream in the FCS, right? Like, there's not too many kids that are like, yeah, I'll go down to the FCS. It's fine.
Ooh, let's answer this question from Stephen French. Could it be a waste of NIL money if Sayin doesn't start?
That's an interesting thing because I was about to say, I believe no matter what, Ryan Day is going to start the best quarterback. That's just what I think. So if for some reason, and I do want to get your guys' take on this. Let's play this out. Let's say Lincoln Kienholz is looking better in practice and everything. Does Ryan Day do that? With all the moves, he brought in Julian Sayin with Air Nolan and kind of disrupted that flow a little bit. You guys trust Ryan Day to just simply put the better quarterback on the field?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ryan Day has nil in his mind and wasting nil money. I think he's got national titles in his mind.
I think he's earned that cachet.
Yeah.
That if he were to do that, I think the powers that be would be like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the beard says no. So
no.
Well, and I think too, like, let's also consider Brian Hartline is the offensive coordinator now. Like, he's going to be looking out for his guys, whoever can deliver them the ball the best. I mean, Will Howard was great last year. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love Will Howard. I think Will Howard, will always be remembered as a great Buckeye and all this stuff. But he wasn't always the best deliverer of the football, and you could tell that was frustrating at times for the wide receivers. He's a very good quarterback, did a lot of things really, really well. But if you have Julian Sayin there, who just has an arm of gold from everything it sounds like, you got to get him in there. You got to get him throwing the ball to those guys.
let me push back on this comment 1 second. Ryan Day has only developed one quarterback. Rest were transfers. Who are we calling the developed quarterback? CJ? Is that who we're saying the quarterback was?
Sure.
But
yeah.
how do you not accredit the development of Justin Fields to Ryan Day?
Or Will Howard. I don't.
Because people make the assumption that when they transfer here, they're a finished product. And that's just simply not true.
Yeah, that's just incorrect.
Will Howard, if you watch him at Kansas State and Ohio State, it is like ridiculous how well he improved as a passer. He was a very mediocre passer at Kansas State. He actually became one to now, like, teams are literally talking about him as a first or second round draft pick just because of his year this past year. That's Ryan Day. I want to tell you, C.J. Stroud is Ryan Day. Justin Fields is Ryan Day. Dwayne Haskins is Ryan Day.
Dwayne Haskins too.
JT's improvement in 2017 is Ryan Day. Ryan Day's been improving quarterback since the day he stepped foot on Ohio State. I don't even want to hear anything different.
Corey ain't gonna hear any different tonight.
I ain't hearing it.
Steven says, good call. All right, let's go running back. JR or Corey, either one of you two want to give me your running back depth chart?
Dallin
I
Hayden.
can.
No, go ahead, JR.
Dallin Hayden. Not Colorado.
I think C.J. Donaldson's going to be your starter, quote unquote, and then I think James Peoples is going to be kind of your third down back, like James Peoples was. He might not get as many carries as Donaldson does, but I think he's going to be really valuable in pass protection. I think he's going to be really valuable catching the ball. He just seems like that versatile back, and then he's also got some power to him that's, going to be versatile as well. And then C.J. Donaldson's going to be your goal line back. I'm completely
You mean
certain on
Peoples or?
that. No, Donaldson, I think, is going to be a goal
gotcha.
line back.
Yeah.
I actually think it'll be more of a 50-50 split. I think Donaldson will be number RB1, but I think Peoples will play quite a bit. But again, if Peoples can't block, it won't matter. He won't play that much, but because Ryan Day values that in pass protection as much as anything else. But I do think Donaldson was brought in with his experience. He'll be the starter. They didn't want to go with a second-year guy as a starter. At running back anyway, I mean, that shows how much faith they have in Sand, to be quite frank. So I think it'll be closer to what Quinshawn and Trevian split was. I think which Peoples will be on the Trevian end of it. Not saying he'll have Trevian production. I just think he'll be on the Trevian end of the carry percentage.
Yeah, I agree. I agree more along the lines with Corey on this one. I think when they saw how fresh our running backs were in this playoff and the fact that the whole landscape of college football has changed now with these playoffs, and you might even go to more games now. I think they saw what we got from our production out of our backs because they were fresh, and they're really, really going to push for as long as they got two backs they can do it with, and I do believe they do, and I think it's going to be about a 50-50 split. I think it's going to look like Quinshawn and Trey out there as far as snap counts go, different things like that.
Yeah, there is no more RB1, RB2 in college football with 16 game schedules. I think you saw the blueprint last year, and that's exactly what they're going to go with this year. My only question is which one of the freshmen might jump up and surprise us. And if I had my druthers simply based off name cred, give me Bo Jackson, so I can say Bo knows every time he scores or does anything on the field.
Now I don't want him to play. Forget it.
Come on, Corey.
Well, you got Sam Dixon coming back. He was in the portal, and then he ended up coming back, so he's another one. But he fits more along with Turbo Rogers, that scat back type. Mm-hmm. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong there, but Turbo Rogers is talked about big time. He upped his status this past season with his ability to run the ball, so he might be up there with Bo Jackson as far as a freshman.
Well, let me ask you all this real quick. Do you think Turbo Rogers end up getting used like a Xavier Johnson type player, like a Swiss Army knife type player, passing game, running game a little bit here and there, RB1 in a pinch when we needed it?
That's a really good question, Corey, because there's so much unknown now with Brian Hartline as OC.
Because I think Williams-Dixon could add that change of pace scat back from the two power backs of Donaldson and James Peoples. I wonder if they even sold him on that to come back. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I have no speculation.
If Chip was here, yes, but we don't know with Brian Hartline and what he likes.
If Urban was here, then the question would be 100 times over yes. But that's not,
Yeah.
But I don't think
Julian Saint
I don't think Julian Saint would be the quarterback if Urban was here as head coach either.
It'd be Tate Martell. He's got eligibility.
Oh my gosh, tater tot. Oh man, I have such a hot tater tot take, man. And I'm not talking about.
Say that 3 times fast. Hot tater tot take. Hot tater tot take.
There's gonna be a slip up if I do that. All right, let's go to tight ends. Let's do tight ends.
Oh, this is a good one.
Gee, I wonder.
This is a good one.
Okay, Max Clare, obviously, right? I mean, there's zero doubt about that. I'm going Will Kasmerick as the second one. Jelani Thurman and Bennett Christian are my backups. What do you guys think?
That's so I think you got a player in Jelani that has the skill set to overtake anybody in the room. But based off what we've seen the last couple years, that's not going to happen. You got Bennett Christian, who's becoming a big-time leader in the offseason right now in the tight ends room and was the highest graded blocker per PFF last year, I believe, out of our tight ends. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Will Kazmarek got pretty good, but Max Clare's the starter, dude. And then you're going to have I think it's going to be close with who the backup is. I think Jelani, Bennett, and Will Kazmarek are all going to be in on that, depending on their off seasons. That's just my take.
I think the only question is with Hartline, do we see a lot of 12 personnel next year or not? I think you would like to see that, but Claire is also obviously a receiving threat like we haven't quite had at tight end in a while. So I wonder how they're going to figure that into the offense. But yeah, guy Bennett Christian and Kazmarek are proven blockers that help in the run game. So what do you do with Jelani Thurman? He showed some highlight reel type blocks against Tennessee that never played again. I don't even know what to think there. I don't know if I'm surprised he didn't transfer yet. Is he gone after the spring? I don't know yet. I'll go Kazmarek for now. But that's subject to change. So.
Yeah, I think Claire's going to be your main receiving guy. I could even see him split out wide a little bit most of the time. But I think your inline guys are going to be Kazmarek and Christian. And it's just, at this point, it's all up to Jelani Thurman. He's got the talent. He just has to put it all together. From everything you hear Ryan Day say about him and everything behind the scenes, it's just, this is Jelani's job for the taking. If he can become a good blocker and he can put it all together, he's going to do it. And we saw it at times. I mean, there were times last year where you were watching the run plays at the goal line. Jelani just lit a dude up. He just has to do it consistently.
What about Bobby Mack's hot take here?
I could see it. I mean, I hate to say it. I think I agree with Deb. He's extremely talented. I don't want to see him go, but it hasn't come together yet. So I don't know what to think with it.
Well, I have been told, you like the old famous, I have been told when somebody starts with that. I have been told he's going nowhere and he is dialed in and fired up for this year. That's what I've been told by somebody close to Jelani. Now, who knows? So he didn't tell me that directly, so who knows?
I hope you're right. I absolutely would love to see him stay. So
I would too, but packed room.
All right. So
when's the last time we said that about the tight end room?
Yeah, right. Hey, is this tight end room the best tight end room in the nation next year?
I think it might be. I mean, you also got Max LeBlanc and guys like that who haven't played yet.
Nate Roberts, freshman. Nate,
thank you. I was thinking of the other. I was like, there's another one in my head. I can't think of
Brody
Nate Roberts.
Did you all see where what's his name who transferred to Cincinnati? Who was from the tight end room?
I knew you were talking.
Joe Royer.
Royer transferred again.
No, did he? Where'd he go?
Boy, that was an all-time miss there. Him over Luke.
Don't even get me started. He choosing Royer over Luke Lachey. That, to me, was the biggest Ryan Day miss of all time. Literally, you have a
Kyle McCord over J.J. McCarthy.
I still think this one's bigger than that. You have a legend sitting up in your radio booth who has a son who's tailor-made to be a Buckeye, sitting right there, and you go, no, I'll go get the guy who has the white afro from Cincinnati, who never did diddly squat on your roster, and Lachey goes on to be a stud at Iowa. I'm still bitter about that one.
I'll give Lachey credit. He made the right choice if he wasn't going to be a Buckeye. He went to tight end.
Yeah, he did. Right. Listen, his daddy's no dummy. All right, he's a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, that one to me is just.
That's a bad one. Kevin Wilson, thank you for that one.
Yeah. Where did he go? Where did I see that Royer transferred to? Let me type it in the old.
Akron? That'd be just hilarious because that was always Urban Meyer saying, you belong at Akron.
Oh, yeah. That's terrible, man. Let's see. That's an old one. Where I just saw it on X. I can't believe it. It's not pulling up yet. Anyways, he's transferring somewhere. You have to look it up. All right, let's go to
UC. No, that's the old one. Never mind.
No, that's the old one. He transferred from UC to somewhere. It's got.
We'll be okay with not knowing.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. If someone in the chat will look it up and
Be
post
tossing
it.
and turning all night. Where did Joe Royer go?
that's it's like that meme where the wife is thinking he's thinking about other women. I'm over there going, where did Royer transfer again?
And then she responds, I wish he were thinking about other women.
Oh, I
Fisherman
found it.
says-
It's back to Ohio State.
No, it's not.
I'm just joking. It's not.
Fisherman
need
says he
tight
didn't
ends.
transfer. Yeah, he did. I just saw it on X, I thought.
All right, that's it. I gotta pull it up.
Maybe I made it up. Maybe I don't know. I'm a little out of sorts tonight. Maybe I made
Fake
that up.
news. Fake news.
Yeah.
It might have been.
Is this on 3?
You're the lamestream media, Eric.
Clickbait. Clickbait. Gonna
I
start
didn't
talking about
click on
Elbert
it.
Hill next.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's take another position. Let's go wide receivers. Now, here's how I broke these down, guys. I broke them down by the 3 wide receiver positions. All right, so we've got the X, the Y, which is the slot, and the Z. Jeremiah Smith at the X, Carnell Tate at the Z. Brandon Ennis is who I've got penciled in at the slot. Anybody disagree?
Mm-mm.
Nope. But there's a lot of discussion for what comes next.
Oh, is there ever? Yeah. Is there ever? Yeah. Zach Guggenheim. Jeremiah Smith might start? Yeah,
I don't know. I disagree with that one, Eric. I don't think Jeremiah's got a chance.
Yeah, he's got I think a pretty good shot.
No.
All right. Here's what I've got penciled in. This is kind of just throwing darts here. I got at the X, freshman Quincy Porter. At the Y, I got redshirt freshman Mylan Graham. And at the Z, I got redshirt sophomore Bryson Rogers.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. That's how I would have it.
Porter will
What?
play early, that's for sure.
What'd you have?
You think
You had
so?
it Mylan Graham and who else?
Quincy Porter, Mylan Graham, and Rogers, Bryson Rogers.
Yeah.
Now, can one of them compete with Ennis in the slot?
Graham. You're right,
Mylan Graham.
But he can't block like Ennis. At least we don't know yet. So.
But
And
I
the
don't
thing-
think he.
I don't know, man. He's from Indiana. He's got some punch to him when I saw his tape. At least hand fighting. I don't know about blocking as much. They don't put that on tape normally for wide receivers.
That's true. Look at him block. Look at the circle and he's blocking down.
I just think with being a freshman and coming in later like he did, I don't know how caught up he's going to be. Brandon Ennis, dude, he's just seasoned, man, and he's a leader too. So I don't think he's going to be that far ahead of Brandon Ennis to take his starting role. He might be there with him as far as on-field play, and then that leadership aspect is just going to keep Brandon Ennis ahead of him, I believe.
They say Brandon Ennis is like the vocal leader of that
He
room.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Even last year. I mean, the kid's amazing.
You got an interesting one in the room, Demarion Witten. JR, you got much on him? He was recruited as a tight end, but I heard a
He's
lot of.
sticking at wide receiver.
Is he?
Yeah,
But
tight end
I
room's
heard-
too full, and they need numbers at wide receiver. and
Never understood him as a tight end. I was like, dude, look at the big guy.
Apparently, the way things are working out in the weight room too, it looks like he's working out better as a wide receiver than a tight end
Yeah.
as well. So
interesting.
Any hopes on getting in early, or is he still more developmental, you think?
he could see a little bit of time, kind of in garbage time this year. But I think when you're making that transition from tight end to wide receiver, it's like G. Scott, right? Like he came in as a wide receiver, went over to tight end, had all the abilities, had to learn the position a little bit more. So I think probably next year is more. 2026 is probably more his time.
Gotcha.
By the way, I
Before we
just looked
jump-
it up, Eric. Joe Royer did not transfer.
Okay, I got duped. Some bot got the bogs,
One of those
man.
fake
gotta-
ESPN people.
Good thing I didn't
ES
click on it. I might
Twitter.
not be able to have a show tonight because I'd have
Yeah.
some kind of Trojan
I'm
horse
telling-
on my computer.
You should unsubscribe to On3, man. They put that stuff out all the time, dude.
Blue Wolverine gifted us 10 memberships. Christopher Mercado with one. Let's see here. Let's scroll down. Cynthia Taylor gets one of those. Welcome. Kill Bill 401970. Chris Begley. Tur Esquia? Is it Ture Esquia or Tur Esquia?
It's the best part, trying to listen to you pronounce all these names so far.
I got this one. Michael Scott.
There we go.
Janet Polly, Maddie C. Let's see. Anybody else here?
I didn't. Can you redo the Kill Bill one? I didn't quite catch that.
Brian Day's championship beard was gifted a membership. And look at that. Zach Guggenheim got one. Zach, go check out some of those behind the scene videos. Kill Bill 401970. Is that like a part of his social security number? Or?
You got a bot has a subscription now.
Bill. All right. I wonder if we'll ever get a email from Bill 401970. That would make my day. Real fast. Let's also give this is my third string because, I do things like that. Actually, let's see. I got David Adolf as in the X. Desi, is it Jones or is it Dizzy?
Desi Jones.
Desi Jones at the Y and Philip Bell at the Z, and that's just total guess. And don't forget about Miller, the freshman from from Mansfield, Ontario Mansfield, who was a quarterback. He really intrigues me. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm kind of getting some Troy Smith vibes from him.
Is 6'4", 440? Yeah, he's got it. Hey, JR's Brandon Scrim. You know him, the wide receiver on our team. Did he graduate or is he still here?
I don't think so. I think he's still there. He may have graduated, but I don't know. We'll probably find out in spring ball for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we got to hustle. Let's get to the offensive line. Oh, this is going to be debated. All right, here we go.
I don't know.
Left tackle, we got the transfer. Ethan and JR, what's the pronunciation?
Nope, that's wrong. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Anianwa.
That was pretty good. Anianwa.
Ethan Anianwa.
Ethan Anianwa. Left guard, I'm putting Luke Montgomery there to start off. Center, Carson Hinsman. Right guard, I'll put Tager Shabola there to start off. Right tackle, I'm going with the transfer Philip Daniels. Let's argue.
I think you're pretty dead on there, in my opinion.
I'm going Ian Moore as the right tackle, and then Austin Sarahveld as the right guard.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And here's
my take. Yeah.
Here's my reasoning why. Let me explain this real fast. Because here's my second string. Left tackle, Devontae Armstrong. Left guard, Austin Sierveld. Man, I struggle with that one. Center, Joshua Padilla. Right guard, Deontay Armstrong. Right tackle, Ian Moore. Guys, this is the deepest our offensive line has been in years. You don't think so, Cory?
I mean, it's not deep till they prove that they're deep. I mean, I don't know about the Armstrong twins yet. I have no idea if they're going to be good or not. I hope they are.
They're only in their second year too.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like saying it's deep is like, to me, you got to have a proven 8 to 9. Like Servold is a good guy to say we're deep with because he's got a lot of playing time and he's proven he can play. Ian Moore, I'm excited about. I like him. I just don't know. I know Philip Daniels has played. I think Ian Moore's got the body for it. I think he's got the potential for it. They like him a lot. Padilla, same thing. Padilla's played like 30 snaps. I just don't know.
Yeah, I think tackle is where you're going to have, Fisherman's right there. No depth at tackle. I mean, you have Ian Moore, who you're hopeful in, but at the end of the day, your starting right tackle is most likely a guy who started 4 games last year at Minnesota as a redshirt freshman. Now, I'm not knocking Philip Daniels. He did a really good job coming in there and starting late in the season like that for him. But, you brought in a long-time starter in your left tackle, so that's great. But you get another Josh Simmons situation, you don't have Donovan Jackson on the inside to go out there. You don't have an All-American waiting to go out there. Interior, I like the depth there. I think Padilla's going to be ready if he's called upon. I would not, and I'm not predicting this would happen, but I would not put it completely out that Padilla starts at center and Hinsman goes to right guard.
Or not left guard?
Or left guard and Montgomery. Like, some version of Montgomery, Padilla, Hinsman.
Yeah. That's kind of what I have been almost questioning
The
is if
biggest
they
question
will
is
do
Padilla.
that.
And Hinsman still is not great at snapping. We even saw it last year. So if Padilla shows that he's ready, they're going to put him in there. I think he wrestler, made to be a center. It's what he's been doing this entire time he's there, getting good at snapping. So
He was born for that position, dude.
I don't know if you can start a brand new starting center, a brand new starting quarterback, and a brand new transfer or brand new starting running back. Like,
So
that's risky.
here's where I'm at with the center thing. If you remember last year, at one point in time, Ryan Day said the Carson Hinsman ordeal was because Carson was the backup center, right? So they really didn't want to use him at one of the guard positions because of how important it is to have a backup center. So you put Josh Padilla there, and if Carson Hinsman plays guard, is he still your backup center? Would they rotate him like that? Because that was my question there. But I still got Carson starting. I think he's training with LaCharles specifically on being a center. I could be wrong there, but Josh Padilla was talked about a lot too. So you just never know. I feel better about the depth this year than I did last year, but
100%.
clearly our feelings don't matter too much because if we would have told you what happened last year would have happened, we would have said, no way you're winning a national title. So our feelings don't mean much, obviously, but I feel confident with the experience, the depth we have. The Phillip Daniels and Ian Moore debate is just that he's been in our program longer. Same, Phillip Daniels only has 4-game experience over him at Minnesota. So I don't know how much of an edge that he would have, but I think tackle's one of the positions that they have to go into the portal for as far as bodies. You got to have more tackle bodies in the room, period. Like we missed in recruiting. We lost like 3 tackles out of the portal, and you only brought in 2, and we were already low. So I don't see how they don't go get a tackle in the portal, but I don't know.
They didn't even try in recruiting, Devin. It wasn't that we missed.
I know.
We weren't even trying.
Trust me, I
know, dude. What, 2 or 3 tackles?
Yeah.
Well, we see that Tyler Bowen is already trying to change that.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
He's spreading a much wider net, and I'm thankful to see that.
Yep.
Dude, Bobby Mack, I don't think you're nuts at all with what you're bringing there.
For other reasons, yes, but not for that. Yes.
This very well could happen.
Yeah,
I mean, and if it does, then yeah, you've got more depth but I was talking with the Sky U Pod guys at JR. They are so upset that we took their starting right tackle. They think he's a stud. And yeah, we'll see. I agree with you, Devin. I think that's the other position I was going to get to at the end here. I think we got to get at least 1 quarterback from the portal, if not 2, if we lose 1 to the portal. And I do think we have to go back to the portal for another offensive lineman for depth reasons. And it's tackle. Who is the 3rd string center? Do any of you guys know?
Jake Cook.
Is he?
I don't
Only
know.
this podcast would we say, who's the 3rd string center?
Yeah, because he's there.
I love it.
He's in the other center on the team.
We are sick, JR. That's why.
I do love the fact we took Miles Walker over Phillip Daniels in recruiting. That was just a stroke of genius there.
Is that your Royer / Luke?
It's not as bad as that. Okay, it's not. But Phillip Daniels being Paris Johnson's cousin, and it's like Miles Walker was like a long shot from the Northeast. It's like, why? Okay, well, whatever. I'm not the evaluator here.
In all honesty,
you could be, and you do a better job, Cory.
If you call the recruits more than once a month, it's an upgrade.
That's true. That's why I'm actually loving Bowen right now. It's because it's like, man, he's calling everybody
twice a week.
Exactly. Oh, and he's not trying to go down south either. He's not trying to go to Mississippi and Alabama and be like, hey, come on up here to Ohio State. He's going out to Idaho. Like, maybe we should go out to Arizona where we already recruit well.
Time out. Mika's saying Toby Wilson. Is he still with the team?
He is.
I thought he graduated. I thought he was like going to coach. Like, because he graduated.
No, he did graduate, didn't he?
Yeah, because he walked. They were talking about him and everything.
Yeah, they were talking about him coming back on as a GA or whatever.
GA. Hey, guess what? Our GA is going to play. He's a third string center.
So
He's GA.
in that way of thinking, Ryan Day is like what, our fourth string quarterback. So,
RJ, the ball boy.
RJ already.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Get in
But
there,
the
son.
real question is, who do you think our fourth string center would
But
be?
wait a second.
Jeremiah
Fisherman
Smith.
said he's a redshirt senior this year. I was at senior day. He literally walked and handed his mom flowers.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, but Cody Simon walked too, and then he came back. So just because you walk doesn't mean you can't come back.
Well, then
I
if he's there,
guess-
he's probably the third string guy. Then
That would be who your third string center would be. 100%. It'd be Toby.
we have solved two major world crises tonight.
We have.
Yeah.
And we only have 10 minutes left for our top 10 coaches.
Oh Lord, let's jump into it. All right, guys, that was. You all knew this thing was going to go off the rails, but it is what it is. All right, here we go. We are going to give you our top 10 college football coaches. We'll start at number 10. We'll work our way down to 1, and we need to do this because JR's got to get out of here by 8:50. So, Cory, I'll start with you.
Oh,
We'll go
boy.
We'll go clockwise here. So, Cory, you're first, then JR, then me, then Dev. Number 10, go for it.
Kyle Whittingham, Utah. He's just consistently good with what should be a mediocre program.
You're going to call me a Big Ten homer, and that's okay. I accept it. Brett Bielema, Illinois.
You homer. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
Okay, I am going to call you a homer with that one. What is he? I mean, yes, he's turning Illinois around, but top 10 in the country?
Yeah. Who would you rather have over him? Would you rather have Brian Kelly over him? Would you rather have Kyle Whittingham over him? Would you rather have Chris Kleiman over him? Would you have Lincoln Riley over him?
I will tell you who I would rather have over him, and this is going to pain me to say this because I don't like the guy at all, but James Franklin.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I got James Franklin in my top 10 too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I would choose over him, but that's just me. All right, Dev, number 10.
Eli Drinkwitz.
I love it.
I like him.
I like him a lot. He's not in my top 10, but I would choose him over Brett Bielema too.
I would not. No.
Cory, number 9.
Oh, should probably go back to my notes then, shouldn't I? James Franklin, number 9.
Okay.
Lance Leopold, Kansas.
Man, you've got 2 guys on your list that I don't have. Why Lance?
Listen, you throw any of these coaches over at Kansas, I'm not confident any of them turn Kansas into a 500 or better team like he has. It was either him or Matt Campbell for me, but one of those two up there at 9. The rest are more accomplished guys, but those are my first 2, kind of like at smaller schools that have done good work.
All right, number 9 for me, Bobby from King of the Hill, Josh Heupel.
Number 9, Kenny Dillingham.
Okay. That's a good one. I like him. Number 8, Cory.
Brian Kelly.
I struggled with him.
Yeah, he's not my top 10. James Franklin's my number 8.
How could you? I'm kidding.
I got Kenny Dillingham, number 8 for me. I think he's the best young up-and-coming coach in college football.
We got the old Josh Heupel.
Dang it, Bobby.
But tell your players to keep their shirts on, Josh.
That was so bad when they did that.
Tell them to keep them on, bub.
A lot of biscuits and gravy up in Tennessee.
Woo, doggies. Yeah. When they took their shirts off, the Ohio State players looked over there. They went, they ain't us.
You're trying way too hard to prove something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Where are we at? 7?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go for it.
Dabo Swinney.
Oh, Dabo. All right.
Steve Sarkisian for me.
Can we pray real quick about? No, I'm kidding.
Number 7 for
If
me.
we were doing a top 10 pastors list in college football, Dabo's number 1 for me.
Easily number 1.
He's not even number 1. Number 7 for me. This is where I've got Kalen DeBoer from Alabama.
Yep. Kalen DeBoer.
Oh, we agree. All right. Number 6.
Marcus Freeman. Chris's favorite coach.
Chris, if Chris is watching, he just had an aneurysm. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he's gonna flip with mine. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. My next one's Kalen DeBoer.
Okay. Number 6 for me. This is where I got Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah, same here.
Damn, Dev.
Would y'all stop cheating off each other? Seriously.
Yeah. I love it. I like someone who finally agrees with me.
Shoot.
Number 5, Cory.
Dan Lanning, Oregon.
Dan Lanning. All right. JR?
My number 5 is where Dabo comes in.
Dabo. Number 5, this is where I've got Marcus Freeman.
Cory, Dan Lanning.
Now you cheat off me?
Yeah, dude, you got to cover that sheet up. I can see it from here.
Number 4.
Kalen DeBoer, Alabama. I say that like you don't know who he is. Sorry.
Well, who?
Bit of a sleeper for me, Dan Lanning. Don't know if you guys have heard of him.
Never heard of him. I think you're just making things up now.
Yeah, he's got a big inflatable duck. They didn't roll that out as much, toward the end of the year.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
This is where I've got Steve Sarkisian. I think he's borderline. He was one. Guys, how close was he to tying that game up, man? And I think Texas wins the national championship if they beat Ohio State. So
what's the difference between Steve Sarkisian and James Franklin?
One is competent.
Is he?
Yeah.
He lost to Washington last year. Barely beat Arizona State this year.
I also watched him as an offensive coordinator absolutely destroy Ryan Day and our defense in the national championship.
Okay, I don't care about offensive coordinator. I'm talking about head coach. You can be a great coordinator. Doesn't mean you're a great
Before him, when was the last time Texas was relevant?
Well, before him, when did they have NIL money out?
Wait a minute. You gave me the argument that Lance Leopold was in the top 10 because you said no one else could go to Kansas and make a winner out of them. Guess who? No one went to Texas and made a winner out of them until he got there.
How dare you besmirch Tom Herman that way?
Okay. Is Steve Sarkisian going to Vanderbilt and winning 9 games twice?
You're literally taking James Franklin's SEC record into this argument?
I'm saying
I don't know. Maybe. He might. I don't know.
I actually agree with
USC.
I actually agree with JR. I think
he was drunk when he was at USC.
That's a part of his problem. You can't be a good head coach if you're drunk.
He's not now, dude.
That you know of,
JR.
That you know of. He could be drunk right now.
He probably is right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think
just watching the show. He probably is.
I actually think JR is right. I think he's kind of comparable to James Franklin. So.
Ooh.
Franklin's not. If Franklin messes up in big games, I grant you, but he's not a terrible head coach. He's really not.
He's still top 10 head coach.
Right? Yeah. Right. Exactly. He's number 10.
He's not in my top 10, but either way, I don't know.
Who's not in your top 10?
You're a hater.
James Franklin.
You're a hater.
But I cheat though, so it's not.
Also, Sharon Moore's in your top 10. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Sharon Moore's number 2 for me, but we're not there yet, right?
We should make a top 10 of the drunkest coaches in college football. A top 10, like which coaches make their fan base the drunkest. James Franklin, number 1.
Yeah, so he's up there. Sarkisian's probably up there now too. You know that one, but that's just because he joins them. So,
all right, where are we at, Dev? I think you're up.
I think I'm at 4 with Steve Sarkisian.
You waited till after all that argument to say, I agree.
I forgot where we were, man.
This is the best moment ever on this podcast.
Whoops.
Because you know who my number 3 is? It's Steve Sarkisian.
Shut the front door. I'm done.
You don't need our help, Eric.
Oh my.
That being said, JR, you got it, number 3.
Well,
he's got Steve Sarkisian, man.
I said Steve at 7, so no worries there.
Man, Eric's gonna start drinking.
I got the guy who beat James Franklin, Marcus Freeman, at number 3.
Ooh, and Chris just threw the computer. He did.
You say
He
the
just
guy
threw
who
it.
beat James Franklin, like that doesn't narrow it down very well. I still
Ugh.
didn't know you were talking about.
Oh
That's true.
man, my sides hurt. Number 3. This is where I got Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning, in my opinion, is if Ryan Day were to go to the NFL and Brian Hartline's not ready, I would interview Dan Lanning and Marcus Freeman. Those are be the first 2 guys I would interview.
We got to wait till Phil Knight dies, unfortunately.
Yeah, he ain't letting them go anywhere. Yeah. Dev, number 3.
Marcus Freeman. He's going to throw the computer twice.
Yeah.
Great pick, Dev. I think you've copied all of
Thanks,
us
Dev.
at least once.
I have to.
Eric like 3 times now. Yeah.
I don't even have a list. I just wait till you guys answer and then I get it together.
That's well, I was like, Dev's like, hey, Eric,
Yeah, I needed
let me go last.
He's like, he got on just in there. Oh crap, I forgot. Well, let me.
Number
2.
2, Cory.
I got the Ohio State Ryan Day.
Okay.
I have Ryan Day there, but I did seriously think about one. But I went with 2 to not be a homer.
Okay. I got Ryan Day 2. Dev?
Kirby Smart. You got to teach.
Are you
these
just
kids
trying
how
to throw us
drive.
off your trail now? Is
No,
that what this
man.
is? Okay.
No, dude. We're talking about today, right? We're talking about right now. Ryan Day won the national title, dude. He's the best coach in the country.
So does that mean last year that Jim Harbaugh was the
I already
best
told
coach?
you. Yeah, he's my number 2, man. No, dude. No. Dude, look at this, bro.
By number 2, what do you mean?
You know what that
Yeah.
is right there, dude. It's an asterisk. That's what that is. No, yeah, Kirby Smart's my number 2. I'm kind of a homer as well, too. I mean, I just am. There's no way around it. So, are we going to do
Well,
our number 1s? Because everybody knows mine
Your
already.
co-host he's flashing some lights, man. He's agreeing with you. All right, number 1, Cory.
Mark Stoops, Kentucky.
Love it.
That's
Love
Kirby
it.
Smart. I mean,
Kirby. The big pink thing that sucks everything up. Kirby, just kidding.
nice.
Anybody remember that?
Old
Nintendo
school
That
days?
video game?
Old school
Yeah.
video games. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I love
so
that thing.
so obviously I got Kirby, and then Dev, you got Ryan Day number 1. All right, so
Mhm.
in closing, obviously we all have Ryan Day, Kirby Smart 1 or 2. Okay, is Ryan Day literally just one more national championship away from taking that over, or is Kirby a bad season away from losing? Ryan Day doesn't even have to win a national championship to become number 1.
That's a good question. I would say that Ryan Day needs to win another one for him to. I think he wins another one, he'll completely surpass Kirby because I don't think he's far off Kirby now.
Right.
But the idea that think about a missed field goal and Day's
Yeah.
ahead of Kirby easily, so it's
Yep.
really close. It's really, really, really.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like it's like 1 and then everybody else is down here. I mean, like Ryan is like right there with Kirby. It could be 1A, 1B to be honest with you.
I need to see what happens with the quarterback position at Georgia. If they keep failing at that, they're gonna. To me, you're not a complete head coach if you have continual failure at a position or position group or something like that. So he's got to fix that. He's got to fix the wide receiver position. If he doesn't do that, they probably won't have a season where they contend for a national championship.
I agree. They're not right now. Their QBs have not looked great lately.
Anthony, I know Anthony from Always Irish. Where do you have Ryan Day in your list? Seriously, I honestly want to know. Where do you have Ryan Day in your top 10 list?
Of course, with a comment like that, I'm not sure I care where he has him in his top 10.
No.
I'm usually curious when people say something like that, and then they come back. He's number 3. Then it's like, okay, so he's a 4. He's got him at 4, and he's a fraud at 4. Okay.
He
Gotcha.
hoisted the Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Natty trophies this year, but he's a fraud. Okay, whatever you say. Your opinion is definitely warranted there.
Gotcha. JR, what you got going on tonight, man?
QB battles, spring QB battles. We're going to be talking about our top 5 that are most important. Also talking spring games, talking the revamping of the Big Ten, and going to give me and well, I guess Zach had no part in it, but I give Zach credit because he's on the show. Me and Zach's secret reason why Notre Dame might be joining the Big Ten soon.
Ooh, Anthony, your program's a fraud if they join the Big Ten. It's
not Anthony's fault.
It's not. All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. JR, have a great show. When we're done here, guys, jump on over to the Big Ten Huddle. We'll be right back.
Hey, Buckeye Nation. The OHIO podcast is thrilled to partner with Export Mouthguards, the innovators redefining protection in contact sports. Introducing the Ninja Pro Mouthguard, the strongest and most advanced mouthguard on the market. Engineered by dental experts, it's designed to deliver elite protection with a sleek, low-profile fit. Made with carbon fiber and multi-layer construction, it's impact tested to keep you safe from even the hardest hits. But that's not all. The Ninja Pro is 3D printed for 100% custom fit, offering unbeatable comfort and security for any athlete. From football to MMA, dominate your game with confidence while safeguarding your teeth and jaw. Getting started is easy. Use our home impression kit to create your custom fit and enjoy prepaid shipping. It's protection delivered right to your door. Plus, with a 1-year warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee, and proudly made in the USA, the Ninja Pro is your ultimate defense on the field or in the ring. And here's the best part. When you visit exportguards.com, use promo code OHIO at checkout to get 20% off your purchase. That's right, 20% off elite protection made just for you. Protect your game, protect your future. Choose Export Ninja Pro Mouthguards, where innovation meets protection. Head to exportguards.com and use promo code OHIO today.
The OHIO podcast is brought to you by Mastermind. Mastermind specializes in 360-degree high-definition mobile video mapping, GIS integration, and traffic safety studies. Mastermind cares about traffic safety and keeping you safe on the roadway. Visit Mastermind at onlinemastermind.com. Oh my gosh, my face hurts from laughing about that.
I just figured Sarah was slapping you during the break.
No. Oh gosh. All right. Oh, I love it. Who was a coach you considered but you didn't put it on your list because you're like, no, if I put him on my list, everybody's gonna make fun of me.
James Franklin.
I was literally about to say James Franklin, but I left him off. It's it's like just more like a personality and some coaching things that just really threw me off. Something he did this year, but really threw me off. But
the Bell thing? Was it the Bell?
It's what, dude, when I watched that press conference, man, when he kept walking up to the thing and they wanted to ask him questions and he wouldn't say anything, just turn around and walk away. Did you guys watch that one?
I missed that one. I saw several that he looked like an idiot with, but not.
Yeah, it was that one. There was a player that kicked off the team, and the reporters weren't supposed to ask him about it, and of course they kept asking about it. But dude,
what does he expect?
That was just the tip of the iceberg. Where I'm just like, all right, dude, I can't.
Player gets kicked off the team. Oh, the press surely won't pick this one up.
Yeah, dude, they're gonna ask you, bro. Like, stand up there and say, "Next question, please." Don't turn around, walk off, have somebody else walk up and say, you can't ask those questions. Say it yourself.
I'm just here so I won't get fined.
I have seen, I think ESPN had a list that I looked at, and they actually had Army's coach pretty high on their, it is like a top 25 list.
Yeah, he's up there.
I wanted to put Lane Kiffin in my top 10.
I will never put that man in my top 10.
What about?
I said I would be embarrassed if I did it, so that's why I didn't do it.
I would definitely make fun of you for that one. Yeah.
What about the new hot Indiana's coach? He's the one that everybody.
Six?
Yeah,
more than one season, and then I'll put you in my top 10.
Right? I know.
Let me see it again. Right?
You surprised everybody last year. Can you do it when everybody's got a target on you now?
Richard, no, OMG, not Lane. But here's the thing. I think there's an argument that Lane Kiffin is better than James Franklin. He beat James Franklin like a drum in the bowl season 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, does that mean Eli?
embarrassed
What's
him.
his name from Missouri is better than Ryan Day? I mean,
No, it's a good point.
You got the Boise State coach, Spencer Danielson.
Yeah, Danielson, wax on,
Danielson.
wax off.
where's he going to coach next? Because that's what the Boise
Right.
State's the ultimate stepping stone program.
Oklahoma State.
No, Mike Gundy will be there forever.
No,
I'm just kidding. I don't
that mullet's about ready to retire. Come on.
He's no longer a man. Yeah. He's 60 or whatever. I don't know.
I'm retiring. I'm 60. When I turned 40, they for my birthday cake, they had a push button, and it was a picture of me, and when you pushed it, it said, "I'm a man. I'm 40." It was on my birthday cake. Pretty.
The only thing I wanted for my 40th birthday was to use that GIF of him saying, "I'm a man. I'm 40." That's all I wanted.
Yeah, that was like the perfect birthday gift, right?
Yep, exactly.
All right, so
let me get this straight, Anthony. You got Day behind Sark and Freeman, the two guys he beat. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he does. He's being a homer. I get it.
No, there's being a homer, and then there's just being ridiculous. So.
I guess, yeah, maybe that deserves some explanation. I mean, maybe if he's, because how are you judging? Like, obviously, you take Dev. Dev's like, hey, I'm taking Ryan Day because of this year. We're taking Kirby Smart because he's got 2 national championships, a little bit more of the longevity of things. So, how you judge is important here. So
there's 3 college coaches in college football that have national titles to their names. Ryan Day is one of them. If he's not in your top 3, you just don't even belong in this conversation.
Well, then why isn't Dabo Swinney higher, who has 2?
He's in the top 10 because he has 2. He hasn't had success in 8 years now. If Ryan Day goes another 8-9 years without one, then you could say, maybe he's not top 2 or top 1.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, a week ago we talked about what is Ohio State's culture. We defined it for everybody. Now I want to tear it apart because
nice.
That's what I do. I want to talk about what are culture killers. What little things can creep into the Ohio State program that could kill this culture that has been built over the last 6 years under Ryan Day? And I've got some things, and I asked these guys to come up with some ideas as well. In chat, we'll ask you to put some of your ideas in the chat as well. What are some culture killers that could happen? Dev, I'll let you start, man. Give me one, and what's your reasoning why?
Well, all these new coaches coming in, it's not just a lot of the analyst roles, but you got Matt P coming in as defensive coordinator. So that's a guy where a lot of people are worried about that particular thing right there. So you got all these coaches coming in with different ideas. You can butt heads with other coaches or coach kids a certain way. And all these analysts, all the offensive line coach analysts coming in. We just hired another wide receiver coach analyst. I mean, this happens frequently. But I haven't went back and looked how many more new coaches, for instance, compared to last year or whatever. So, that's a pretty obvious one, I think, is new coaches coming in. But it ultimately boils down to, Ryan Day vetted these guys and, he's not going to – I don't think he's going to allow that to happen. But you got to keep an eye on that, man. New coaches coming in, especially people like Matt P who have, maybe a little bit of a shaky past with how they treat players and different things like that, depending on who you believe and what you read. But coaches coming in for sure.
Can we expound upon that maybe a little bit? Like new coaches coming in, but like what would they have to do? What would have to happen with those new coaches?
So they would have to like carry a disagreement that they have with another coach to the players, right? If they have a disagreement with Larry Johnson on how they want things to go, instead of handling it in-house with the other coaches, Matt P decides to go and vent with some of the defensive line leaders in the room and say, hey man, Larry Johnson's wanting to do this, but don't you agree that we should do this? You know, trying to get players on your side instead of handling it, you know, in house where just coaches should be conversating, I think. That and just little things, man. You know, this might sound crazy, but words are very powerful. So the way you talk to players, the language that you use, um, the music that you're listening to. I know those all might sound like little tiny things, but when you bring a new coach in who has the power to make bigger decisions, it doesn't take much to alter and swing a culture a certain direction. So if he's got the ability to make those changes, but I think ultimately it's how do you handle disagreements between coaches if you're a coach? Are you letting your aggravation with another coach bleed down to your relationships with the players that you're coaching? You know, are you bringing those arguments down to the player levels in an unhealthy manner? I know they have the team meetings and there's certain things players should be involved in, but are you talking bad about the coach that you don't like behind their back with other players? Like that can cause division in a team. And that's the worst thing that can happen in a culture is ways to cause division. So,
Right.
you know, that would be my more specific thing that you would think about. If that answers your question.
It does. So now I'm going to throw a ripple into that argument because I've been thinking about this a lot. And that was last year at about this time. It might even been a couple more weeks out ahead. Tony Alford left the program and went to your rival. As an outsider looking in, I have to question why a coach would leave a program for your rival program who you supposedly just spent X amount of years preaching to those players about beating that team, and then you turn around and go to that team. It seems to me like you're not really practicing what you preach when you do that. It's kind of hypocritical. And I almost wondered, hear me out, this is kind of tinfoil hat wearing stuff here. If, in a way, Tony Alford leaving the program was kind of like getting cancer out of your culture in a way. And I know a lot of people talk about Tony Alford in a positive light, especially his players who played for him. But sometimes it's the bigger picture beyond just what's taking place in a position room when it comes to the overall health of your program and your culture. The bigger picture is that there's those little schisms, those little divisions like you talked about, Dev, that can get in your program. And I've been thinking, how crazy is it? Tony Alford leaves, goes to Michigan, they beat us, then we go on to win a national championship.
Yeah.
Like, trying to make sense of that within the framework of culture is where I'm kind of struggling. You got any thoughts with that?
Well, I would say that dude was around forever. Okay, so you had people coming in, and that's all they experienced was him, his coaching style, his ideas, his ways of communication. So you're not going to really understand if that's a cancer or if that's a bad thing for the culture until you experience something different that could potentially be better. And I think we hit the nail on the head with the hire, bringing Coach Locke in and experiencing somebody that takes that culture to the next level. The guy that has that passion, that fire to show up earlier than all the players, to do the drills with the players, to live that life, man, to come out of that stuff. So you got Coach Alfred, who's been in the program forever with his ways of doing things, and it almost becomes the norm. So that cancer that you're speaking of isn't brought about because it's so normal that you don't realize that it's doing this to your program. You don't even know it because you've never experienced anything other than that. So there could be those little hidden divisions in there. I mean, case in point, man. I mean, we almost lost a recruit because he left. Why? Because he didn't communicate with the coaches about how much James Peoples should be getting. You know what I'm saying? So laziness, right? I mean, that's just what it came down to, man. And plus, he saw his time coming, man. Didn't get the extension, the whole 9 yards, recruiting going downhill. So, I think it's one of those things that you don't know, right, until you experience something, better. That, hey, man, oh my gosh, we let that go on for that long in here. That was not normal. That was not okay to be that like lazy. Like if your work ethic's here, but it's been that way the whole time, everybody thinks you're working as hard as you can. You know what I'm saying? But you're really not. You've just been doing it for so long, people think that's all you got. And then Coach Locke comes in and doubles it. And it's like, oh, wow, that's what this should have looked like.
Cory, what's your thoughts on this, man?
I think I'm thinking more in the macro effect. Is Ryan Day, did he keep Tony Alford because he was a young head coach who just didn't know better when he got hired, and he just hung on to guys that Urban Meyer liked. I know he did do that with the defensive staff, but he had because he had connections through San Francisco with Jeff Hafley and things like that. So, and now Washington was a connection from way back when in Boston College and stuff. But Ryan Day's whole he's so young of a coach. He doesn't have that Rolodex. He doesn't have his connections going 30 years back or whatever, like Urban's and the Knicks and the Bills, and I think even Matt Patricia's a little bit of that. Like he had to lean on Bill Belichick, Urban Meyer, and people like that to ask around about these guys. He even tried to get an interview with DJ Durkin. That's an old Meyer guy. So it's like I just think that he hung on to Tony Alford because he didn't really know what to do, who to go get, who was better. And I think that I think Devin's right that Tony saw the writing on the wall. He'll deny this. He's denied it on X. I don't really care. He got a bigger paycheck. He leveraged it into a bigger paycheck with Michigan. Fine. But the writing was on the wall. He and Day were not in sync, and Day was probably not going to extend him, and he was probably going to end up being replaced anyway. And it sounds like when he did leave, Day wasn't even panicked about it. He kind of already had a binder of guys that he liked.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, it's going to keep the culture together. In my opinion, the number one thing, there's a million things, but the number one thing is Ryan Day making that turn, that pivot into I'm the guy now. I am that dude now. So now he knows, I know I can go pick up who I want when I want for an assistant, and I have my reasons for doing so. Carlos Locke was a great pickup. He's funny. He's a little older guy, 47. He got into coaching late, and it's like he's had such an impact. I don't know if he has aspirations to ever move on to be like an OC or something like that. Maybe he just wants to be that running back coach. But I also think he picked a guy who emphasizes what Ryan Day really wants in his culture, which is physicality and toughness. Ryan Day wants that desperately in his culture, and Locke represents that to a T. Alford never did. Alford was never that guy. Is like I've never. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say running backs like Mayan Williams obviously showed toughness. I think Henderson has shown toughness at times. And Alford wasn't a total failure as a running back coach, but there was always a little something missing, obviously. And when he left, somehow we got better immediately. So there was a little bit of hold back there. So I think Ryan Day is finally starting to figure out what he wants and who he wants in his program.
Yeah. Dev, I know you said you had to leave at this time. Do you have any final thoughts before you take off, brother?
Just my last thing will be, as far as culture goes, that we lost all the senior leadership, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really going to be important, for these players to step up, right? For position group coaches to get with certain players in their room and let them know, hey, man, we got all these new recruits coming in. We got a couple guys coming in from the portal. We cannot stray from the championship family developed here culture that we have built. We cannot stray from it. Continue with the brothers before you continued. They took home the birthday cake, man. They took home everything. This is the culture that we need. So I know for a fact inside the Woody that they're really hounding on that. They know they lost all that senior leadership, the Cody Simons, the Donovan Jacksons, and they are pushing for the Bennett Christians and the Carson Hinsmans and even the Julian Sayans, these younger players. They've got to develop that leadership, right, to continue the culture that they have. They can't let, even if you're younger, you can't let some of these older transfer players come in here and push you around with their culture from their other school. You've got to, exert the championship culture that Ryan Day has there. And, I don't think Ryan Day, I think that's one of his number one coaching qualities is the culture that he, has built there, man, because it's hard to get an offer. And it's even harder to get that offer accepted. We see players all the time who are like, why would you not offer them? Why would you not get them here? Well, I think the hidden gem there is that they weren't the right culture fit. I really, really do. So
Yeah.
that's a lot that the fan base don't think about. We just see 6'7", 320, good feet, long arms. He's got to be our left tackle. Well, maybe he don't fit in, man. Ryan Day he will not take somebody that's not a good culture fit. He will not.
Deb, you're so right. There's too many people who look at this like college football 25 or Madden or whatever, and they just plug and play the guy, and that's it.
There's real life going on here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the word that Ryan Day uses is they must assimilate into our culture. I think he's said that multiple times when talking about transfer players. And you're so right, Devin. And I think that's a great comment, dude. Tell everybody about the Buckeye Boyz, where to find you, brother.
Yeah, you know what it is, Buckeye Boyz with the Z, man. We go all the time, dude. Learn from the best, learn from the Podfather, man. So we do some live shows. We're going to be dropping some little videos, pre-recorded recruiting stuff, little tidbits here and there. So look out for that. But appreciate you having me, Eric. Nice to see you, Cory. Nice to be on a show with you finally. Man. Yeah, you guys keep up the good work, man. You guys are doing awesome. Chat, be blessed.
Good night, buddy.
Yep, see you.
All right, Cory. Let's
yeah!
It's funny when we go to commercial, you lean way back and your microphone's here, and I lose your face. I'm like, where's Cory going? I'm like, oh, he's behind there.
I do this, yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I'm like, where'd he go? So this is a really, really interesting conversation, man. I think culture is, for the longest time, I felt like culture was kind of overrated a little bit. And now I feel like when Ryan Day said, and he said this twice on two different occasions, I've heard him say this, we won the national championship the right way. And I think some of it's kind of a sleight of hand at Michigan a little bit, maybe. But I also think what he's saying is we built a culture, that culture we believed in, and it has sustained us through some difficult moments, and we are reaping the rewards now of having built that culture. Let me ask you this question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is something else I've been thinking about. I think there's a distinct difference between Urban Meyer's culture and Ryan Day's culture. And I don't think one is greater than the other, but I do think this. Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
You're wrong. No, I don't.
Ryan Day's culture is more sustainable over a long period of time.
I actually agree with that. Urban's proved that he's not sustainable over a long period of time. He keeps, 7 years and he's out. And part of it is because I think the culture of Urban Meyer is incredible intensity at all times, incredible work ethic at all times. There's no downtime. I'm not saying he didn't love his players. I'm not saying the players didn't love each other, but that wasn't the focus per se. Whereas I think Ryan Day does focus on making a family atmosphere. In fact, it's been criticized by guys like Zach Smith as being too country club sometimes, where it's not hard enough work ethic, whereas Urban would just throw you through a window if you didn't run the drill right, Urban's definitely more old school. Ryan Day's more new school. And I think new school in today's NIL package, because honestly, going into this season with $20 million roster and blah, 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 when things were down, all they had to lean on was each other. That's all they had. And Ryan Day still facilitated that even when he was hurting within the team by team meetings and talk it out. What's wrong? What did we do wrong here? What do you think about our coaching? Just getting everybody's vibes and everybody's thoughts. And I'll tell you one thing, when people feel heard, they will work harder for you. That's just a psychological fact. That's been done study after study after study. And I think the players felt heard. I think the players felt loved by their coach. He shielded them from the negativity. Even though they knew what was going on, he shielded it and he took the blame. He always takes the blame. So he doesn't ever talk badly about a player or anything like that. And I just think they look at him as like almost a second father figure. And I think you kind of have to do that in today's world. I don't think the old school way of coaching. I love the Tom Izzos of the world. I love the Urban Meyers and Nick Sabans of the world. I just don't think that way of coaching works in today's world as much, unless you have just an incredible, like Nick Saban, just an insane reputation to where, people flock to you just for the reputation alone almost. Not to say he wasn't obviously a great coach, even in his older years, but I just don't think I think his way wore him out in today's world. So,
Urban is allergic to losing.
Yeah.
And it's toxic to him.
Except he didn't break out in hives or anything. He actually just goes to bars and like hits on women or something.
Well, he actually has brain issues.
That's true.
I feel like Urban is kind of like a whirlwind, man. He comes in, he shakes it up, he leans heavy on everybody, he gets the most out of everybody, and then it kind of burns down,
Yeah.
and then it's like it wears on him. I think if there's anything that you have to tip your hat to when it comes to Nick Saban was very similar to that, but he knew where the line was and he never crossed the line. And because of that, it maybe was that kind of style was sustainable and obviously successful, as well as McDonald's bags. But you know what I mean? Like when we're talking about culture,
McDonald's fuels champions, man.
It does, man. It's I'm loving it.
Nice.
Bama, I'm loving it.
Yeah, we know that Maserati and
but you get my point. Like Nick Saban had a culture that was kind of similar to Urban's. Urban's would last 6-7 years, and that was it. Nick Saban lasted, 20, and had a ton of championships along the way with it, because he just knew how to not cross that line, where I think Urban didn't. Ryan Day's going about this a completely different way, and now we've seen that, hey, it bore some fruit. Here's my next question with this. If bad coaches who take advantage of this culture and aren't maybe putting forth the effort that is needed for success, or we have another Larry Johnson, Jim Knowles thing that becomes public, like that thing, no one might know how bad that was until years later, because they really kept that quiet, even though some of it got out. Like it was never like they never talked about it with the media. Like it was zip, right? Having a coach go to the media with something like that could kill a culture.
I 100% agree. You got to keep that indoors.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of the Tony Alford effect, because of like Ryan Day took that personally, because here's a guy who supposedly is helping him build that culture, who then turns around and says, you know what? I'm going to spit on your culture and go to the very place that you are building this culture to beat. Like I would take that extremely personally.
I think Tony wouldn't have left if he didn't feel pushed out, if that makes sense. Ryan Day didn't outright fire him, but it was very curious as to why he was not extending him. And and Ryan Day honestly looked happy. When he left, there was something there that just wasn't clicking anymore. Because I mean, I remember when Ryan Day said, "I get to coach running backs this week. I'm happy." I'm like, most coaches would be annoyed by that kind of stuff. Like, oh, jeez, man, he left spring ball. We got to scramble to find somebody. Ryan Day was as calm as he looked as calm as he did after he won the Natty.
Yeah.
He was just, he just didn't care. He's like, he probably, like I said, he probably got a binder of people that he knew he could replace him with. And
it makes me wonder if there was more going on there than what we realized.
I probably
he
was
kind of like, good.
I probably was. And I don't know if this is for members stuff, but I've had at least 1-2 conversations with Tony on Twitter. He was, I mean, he vented me one time and he was frustrated about something. Not necessarily Ryan Day, more about the fan base. He was frustrated about a few things. So the coaches actually hear the criticism too. So and he was always nice to me though. I'm not going to say everything bad about him. He was always kind to me. But yeah, he was definitely, he felt frustrated at times, especially after the Bijan Robinson stuff. He was pretty frustrated.
Oh, I imagine, because that was the class where we also lost Knightley to Miami, and we had
he didn't amount to anything though, thankfully. But
he did. You're right, he didn't. And a lot of those Florida guys who commit, decommit, and then go to Florida, their careers are very seldom do they actually hit. But Bijan probably would have helped us win a national championship.
Bijan even admitted it now, so I can say Bijan straight up lied to the coaching staff at Ohio State.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, like he was in, and then all of a sudden he wasn't.
He was absolutely in the class. Yes.
Yeah. What is another culture killer?
I'm going to disagree with this comment real quick.
Okay.
2019 Ohio State, we had an amazing run game.
Yeah, we did.
Trey Sermon the next year also broke the singles game record. I mean, I wasn't all year that great, but I think we've had, I mean, I'll say that we'd started out, we had a really great run game, and then we started veering towards that CJ Stroud 7-on-7 Oklahoma, like offense. Almost Big 12 type style. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. What's another culture killer that you might have on your list?
I have it in my notes. If our recruiting ever starts to suffer, because and I would never say that with Ohio State. This was 10 years ago. It's our recruiting's not going to suffer. We're going to be fine. But with NIL, if all of a sudden the foundations dry up, the donations dry up, or people, it's almost like coaches' careers now are in the hands of donors instead of the hands of wins and losses and being able to get kids to come to Ohio State. It's like, well, guess what? We don't like you. Your NIL is going to dry up. You're not going to be able to recruit. Ohio State by a name in itself cannot get these guys anymore just by itself. So in the day of NIL and transfer portals, I could absolutely see it being harder than ever to construct a roster to your needs. And also, sometimes we get to a point where Ryan Day has to sacrifice culture a little bit to get a guy, because we're like, we have nobody at quarterback. We've got to go get somebody. Last year, we were blessed and lucky to get Will Howard, because he came in. It wasn't just his ability to play ball, but just his attitude, his personality fit perfect with what we needed in our culture. But some days you might end up with a Cam Ward, where you're like, talented guy, but is he a prima donna? Is he a leader? Will Howard was not a prima donna, and he was an absolute leader.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and he may not be as talented as Cam Ward, but he's everything Cam Ward isn't intangibly. So, are we going to have to get to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, to win, I have to sacrifice, the human element of it just to get somebody who's prodigiously talented?
Can I add the Georgia effect to this now?
Yeah.
In the sense that, is Georgia one bad season away from falling apart because they actually don't have a sustainable culture?
I think you're onto something there, Eric. I was wondering the same thing to myself weeks ago. I was like, I think Kirby's very in danger of losing it at Georgia. I really do. Can't have 37 DUIs and there's not be a problem.
Yeah. Like you have recruited a ton of talent, but I don't know if their culture was the ATL, you know,
Mhm.
we're the dogs, you know, we're
Mhm.
gonna come in barking and we're just bigger, badder, faster, stronger,
They were the
and
Canes of the 1990s, early 90s.
yes,
Yeah.
and that mentality, unfortunately for them, I think has left the football field and has made its way into aspects of their lives to where off the field they're not doing the right things to be successful in life. You know, I'm
Mhm.
not just talking football.
Yep.
And that kind of stuff then can come, it's reciprocal. It comes back around and it starts to affect your play on the field.
Mhm.
I think we saw some cracks in the foundation this year.
I
And
agree.
I'm wondering if Kirby doesn't get some leaders in that program to straighten the path up for them, if they could fall apart. And so I began to think, how does that relate to what Ohio State's doing here? And I think this all comes back to the leaders in the locker room.
Mhm.
So we just lost 17 potential NFL guys.
Yeah, that's huge.
15 for sure,
Yep.
maybe 17. Because I'll give credit to G. Scott Jr. whether he gets drafted or not all day long. That guy was a cultured dude.
Yep. And he stayed when he could have
Absolutely.
left.
Yes.
And his dad admitted he told him to leave. So.
Fryer, the same thing.
Mhm.
Like, even though Fryer was he worked hard, he could have left and probably started at Kent or Akron within his third year, but he stuck it out and ended up playing 2 years at Ohio State at right tackle. I don't think he'll get drafted, but
I think
he's going to.
I think people are crazy not to draft him. And you would have never heard me say that last year, but it's like he could be a guard in the NFL, a backup somewhere.
I think he's definitely going to get a shot.
Yeah.
You know, he'll definitely get a phone call and be a
Invite to a rookie
an
camp.
NFL invitee. But I digress. Finding those guys, those voices in the locker room who aren't paid to be coaches
Mm-hmm.
and who can continue that sustained culture that Ohio State has built, I think is critical. And I also think that might be what is happening to Georgia. They've lost a ton of guys to the NFL. A ton of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me could be a culture killer. You have nobody step up in the locker room who can lead verbally and by example.
Yeah, I don't know who the leaders on Georgia are. I mean, normally when you have leaders and they're in the national spotlight, that way you know who they are. And look, everybody knew who Ohio State's leaders were going into the playoff this year. I agree with you. I think I think that's why Ryan Day has been so adamant about building the culture, because he's like, well, we have to have the foundation that lasts no matter what. We have to know what we want. As I said, like I'd compare it to the NFL. I'm a Packers fan, and the Packers draft a certain way, right? They get guys that mirror the kind of guys they want, and they don't. That's why they always have so many surprise picks. Like, what the heck? Where'd that guy come from? It's like because somebody will say, "What was their comp?" and it's a former Packer, and they have a specific kind of guy they want. I think Ryan Day has gotten into that mode at Ohio State. He has a specific kind of player he wants to recruit, wants to get in the transfer portal. It's not just a matter. I think Kirby Smart is almost in the old school days of just get the most talented guys you can possibly get. Who cares? We'll make it work later. We'll figure it out later. Whereas, and in one day in time that used to work. I don't think that works anymore. I think in the days of NIL, when people's motives are a little different than they used to be, you have to build that culture. And you have to get kids to buy into something beyond the football field. And I think that's why we paid so much money. It wasn't just because of how talented these guys were. I mean, Jack Sawyer, JT, Trevian, these were, there's a lot of them. I know I'm not going to name all of them. They were just good dudes on top of the fact they were good ball players. And I think Ryan Day feels like, well, if you're not a good person that's helping the locker room move forward, then I don't care how talented you are. I'm not giving you. I mean, I know for a fact, like Damon Wilson's another one. I'm not going to go into it, but there's reasons why we didn't try to get him over Missouri. So I mean, I don't know how good or bad a character he is, but apparently there's some things that went on between the NIL there that Ryan Day was not comfortable with. So, and people get mad. Now I see the Twitter, they get mad. Why, Ryan Day? We need this kid. Why don't you get Ryan Day, it's just if he's won a natty, let's give him the trust that he knows what kind of player we need to have in that locker room.
Yeah. So, you could have a lack of leadership could actually lead to a loss of culture. You could have bad coaches who can destroy the culture. Here's the last one I want to bring up. And this one I think is really, really interesting. And maybe we don't have actually time to get into it, but you could have fake culture. Here's what I mean by that.
False bravado.
Yeah. So COVID hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can talk culture all day long, and I think if I'm about to make a statement, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
You're wrong. No.
You say it every time. That's why I went like that. If COVID were to happen today, Ohio State would be even more successful than they were in 2020.
That's interesting.
Ryan Day was so young.
I think he'd definitely handle it better. I'm getting cringes thinking of it.
Not that he did wrong. Like
Yeah.
I think he did well. We went to a national championship that year.
Yep.
I mean, we got blown out, but we went, right? And all of that was on him. But
no,
I'm just saying, like,
you can't lose Togiai and lose Sermon first play, and
But I digress. I think the culture is healthier now than it was then. At least it's more established. That is 100% fact. I think he'd be even more successful.
I agree, because not to mention that natty helps, man. Now he's got that clout, and when you have that clout, you become the glue that can keep that culture together. Because Ryan Day's still pretty hands-on. He's not a guy who's just going to be. I mean, he's a CEO now, but he's not a guy who's just sitting in his office, letting things run. I mean, he's hands-on everywhere. He has his fingerprints on everything, and I think that's a good thing for Ohio State. He delegates more, but he has his fingerprints on things, and he's got people he trusts. Yeah, I agree. I think we would be more successful now. I don't think there's any. I mean, if we had, but it's hard to say too, because remember we had Kevin Warren who cut us off for half the season, and then
Karen Warren is what we call it.
Yeah, exactly. and then the SEC is like, I don't care. You did line up the dead bodies from COVID. I don't care. They were just like, let's just go. So it's just like Alabama had a lot more season to them than we did. But I think if all things being equal, I think absolutely Ohio State would be the favorites tomorrow based on culture if COVID happened again. But man, I don't want to think about COVID happening again.
You've got, I mean, think of how wild that was. You had Nick Saban, who had 17 years of building that program and culture up with less restrictions and more games played, going up against Ryan Day, who had 2 years of culture building and literally was missing half his roster. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, it's so unfair to even really, Steely says 20 missing players. Like, I mean, goodness sakes, dude.
Yeah, they played 14 games. We played 7.
I think it would be completely reversed. Like, let's hypothetically, and again, I don't want to give anybody PTSD because trust me, I don't want to ever go through that again. But
I hope America doesn't want to go through that again.
No kidding. But if we were to flip it and say in 2025 during a COVID season, Ryan Day versus DeBoer, give me Ryan Day. I think he's got
100%, yeah.
The roles have completely reversed in those situations, which tells me that the culture at Ohio State is there. Like it's where he wants it to be. So when I say fake culture, and I know that was a really long way to get to my explanation of what I was talking about, but when I say fake culture, it's what I mean is you say you're one thing, but then when adversity hits or the rubber meets the road, you're not really what you say you are. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's false bravado. I mean, the best example in the world is Tate Martell. Better not miss his strike and miss or whatever, hit twice, and then he's gone a week later. It's like there's a lot of teams who talk about that. I think at times we've been that. where we talk tough and we're this and that. The second things don't go away in the game, it collapses, everything falls apart. There's been that Ohio State way in the
Yeah,
past.
the here we go again.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's triggering at times, and you think, hey, you guys tell. I don't know how many, and I'll say this about Ryan Day. I love Ryan Day, but there's been so many times during his career where he's like, we're going to come out and play fast, and it's like 17-14 in the middle of third quarter against like Akron or something, and it's like, you just said we were ready to play. You said we were going to play fast. I'll tell you one thing though, Ryan Day. We can't claim that about Ryan Day's culture right now. When they worst loss in Ryan Day's history as a coach against that team up north, and they respond like that. That's proven culture right there. That's not fake culture right there. If we had got trounced by Tennessee the very next game, you could say, Ryan Day, your culture is fake. Everything you talk about is fake. Whenever there's adversity, we crack. But Ryan Day can now point to his culture building and say, we are the real thing.
Yeah. Man, this is an interesting conversation. Is there anything else in your notes you want to hit on?
Oh, I hit like 10 things actually, but some of them actually are kind of mutually inclusive with everything else. Off the field issues. I talked about NIL, inability to adapt because college football's adapt. Ryan Day,
Oh my gosh.
he's been. I'll give this to Ryan Day. Chris Carter said it, and it shut me up when he said it because it was so profound. The freaking college football's changed every couple of years. He's been a head coach completely. And he's had to adapt to it on the fly constantly, and he's still managing to have a successful 70-10 record. Now he's got massive trophies to put in the trophy room there. Again, that's just incredible that if there's any coach you could have faith in adapting to college football, it's Ryan freaking Day.
I agree.
There's just I don't even know who I can't even point to a coach who's adapted as well as he has, really, to be perfectly honest. But most of the stuff kind of falls under the umbrella of culture, I think. So like I said, off the field issues, well, that's culture, right? So I don't really have to come up with that. But I think this adaptability and things like that, and keeping a locker room not toxic. He's done a great job at that, I think, but that comes with leadership in the locker rooms. Now, here's the interesting point. Do they love Julian Sand not only because he can throw the ball a mile and he's extremely accurate, or also because they could see leadership in him?
That's a great question.
That's what we're going to all find out.
Yeah. That is a really good. CJ Stroud, underrated leader.
Yeah, he was. He started the Christian craze at Ohio State. And I say that like it's a negative thing. It's not a negative thing, obviously, but I think he was the first one I've ever saw at Ohio State just constantly professing his faith.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you see 80 guys doing it.
Well, I think there were some other guys who just weren't being as interviewed as much as
That's
CJ
probably
Stroud
true,
was.
yeah.
But Master Teague III was one.
He was definitely very, very faithful. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? Not Caleb. Bab.
Cameron Babb. Yeah.
Cameron Babb was
one of the great stories of Ohio State history that won't be told as much, but should be.
That touchdown.
Oh, we all were crying. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we were, man. Yeah, we were. That was.
And then he got down on his knees and praised God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you, keep him around the program. There's leadership right there.
He is, isn't he?
He's around. Yeah. Make him a GA or something. I don't know, but put him in that program because you want people like that around your kids.
The minister of culture. make a position, man.
I don't care what it is. Pay him and let him do his thing with the players.
Yeah. I haven't watched it yet, but CJ, he was a wide receiver. He walk-on wide receiver.
CJ
Saunders.
Mm-hmm.
He has a testimony about how the culture at Ohio State changed his life.
That's awesome.
And because of that, as he's faced things since football, how that has set him up to be more successful in life, including starting his own business.
Good for him,
because of it. So many things about that culture that we don't even know.
Yep.
We don't hear about. That causes this team and this school to be successful. So much so, I would love to know when parents and players go on their official visits to Ohio State and they see the culture up close in person, how that affects them. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not naive. NIL is still a huge part of whether you go to a school or not. Okay.
But if you're matching somebody's NIL, that's when the culture becomes like, okay, but I want my kid around that culture. Because it isn't just about, I mean, I was so, look, I love Joe Burrow, but what he said was so freaking stupid about whoever offers you more, go to them. It's just like, that is, no. I mean, say Texas is offering you 100,000 more than like Ohio State's offering you because that's what they have budgeted for NIL. Well, why not take the less money? You're still getting great money, and you get to be around a culture that's going to set you up for success. If I'm the parent, I'm thinking, I get it. You're getting a little less at Ohio State. I don't care. You're going to be around a guy who literally saved a kid's life.
Yeah.
You know,
We
you're going to
didn't
be
even
around
mention mental health.
exactly. You're going to be a
Which
guy
is-
who puts a focus on your mental health, who understands if you are in trouble, I know you can go to that coach and he will save your life.
Yeah, like you want to talk about someone putting their money where their mouth is. That's
Literally.
exactly what Ryan Day has done on mental health. Like he's put $3 million worth of his money where his mouth is. That's how much it means to him. Harry Miller, like you mentioned, right? Like, I forget who else was. There was a defensive lineman that talked about that too. How that was such a huge part of his growth as a man. But I digress. This has been a fantastic conversation, and I really appreciate everybody who participated in the chat. Saw some new people in the chat. Welcome. Before you leave, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Ring the bell so you get notified. So we go live. We go live at 8 o'clock every Sunday night and at 8 o'clock every Thursday and at 8:30 on Monday nights now. Cory, what you going to be talking about tomorrow
Oh
for Buckeye
boy,
Therapy?
I've been doing some research on why I think Ryan Day is extremely happy about Tyler Bowen being the new offensive line coach / run game coordinator. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little hint. It's more for that run game coordinator, Spark. I think he's going to give Ryan Day what he's always wanted in the run game.
Ooh. Now you got me intrigued. I'll be tuning in. 8:30 tomorrow night, everybody. Thank you so much, everyone. I will be heading to. Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate that. I will be heading to the Sunshine State for work later this week. I will
Come on down.
I will try to pop out a couple videos for you all this week before I leave, and then Chris will be taking over my position for about a week with Thursday night's call-in show. Hopefully he can get that squared away, and then Sunday night show. Next Sunday night, we've got another special guest. It's going to be a reunion of sorts next Sunday night. So I can't wait to tune in next Sunday night and see how that goes for all of you guys. Thank you again, everybody who have participated. And thank you so much. This past month, Cory, I remember back when last couple years, in fact, when the season was over, the show kind of died. We would talk about things and the diehards would show up. We have grown exponentially in February. It's like, wait, what? Maybe we're still Buckeye Nation is still kind of riding the high,
a little bit,
winning a national championship, and I'm all about cashing in on that. So thank you everybody who's helped our growth here at the OHIO podcast. Tuesday night we'll have an interview dropping with one of you guys. It's a great interview. I'm not going to spoil it. He was in the chat tonight. Fantastic interview. You all are going to love that as well. So be on the lookout for that Tuesday night. Cory's show tomorrow night at 8:30 live here on the channel. Don't miss that. Call-in show Thursday. So much going on, guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Remember, be kind to one another. I owe someone's OH. Sing Carmen, Ohio with all your heart. Till next time. OH!
I-O!
Go Bucks.